And we're very glad you're still here because we have 30 minutes to go and talking about all these different topics from content marketing to predictive data analytics. We now need to end obviously with the creativity because as we learned in June already in our online broadcast from Caroline Taylor, it's not so much about the wand, it's about the wizard and what can you do with all these new technology and all these tools. So for that, I would like to invite Hans Lenderink and Ed van Uden. Welcome.
Thank you.
You guys are the founders of a company called Creative Thinking in Organizations.
Yeah, that's correct.
Just for those of you, very few I guess, who don't know you yet, what do you guys do?
Well, a few years ago, Ed and I met each other on Twitter, and we were both
digital first.
Digital
digital
at the
first,
first
yeah.
place, yeah. And we were interested in the same field of mind mapping.
Yeah, the creative tool that triggered us enormous. And there was a click, and there was also a click on creativity.
And from that point, we started to connect to other creative people, and it became one big co-creation, and it led us to start up an academy on creativity. We found several specialists on creative thinking together, and the academy is now started, and it's called Creative Thinking in Organizations. And that's how we.
And that's what you do. And who are typical clients of your organization?
Every organization who wants to learn how to cope with transformation and is looking at how do I think different, how do I get new ideas in the first place, how do I organize so that I can allow the flow, and how do I communicate with my employees to motivate them to get in flow.
And it's not about not only in organizations in business, but also in education.
Okay.
So
well, curious
yeah.
to you guys. Same question as I ask all my presenters before they get on. After listening to you guys, what do you hope that our viewers will actually do or change?
Well, we hope that they understand what the elements the main elements are in creativity. What is the thing you have to give your interest and your energy?
I need to foster in your organization,
yes,
I guess.
Yes.
All right, well, I'm very curious. Good luck, have fun out there, and
Thank
also
you.
you guys will be back here with me in the studio
Okay,
afterwards.
thank you.
All right.
Thank you very much. Well, a few years ago, I worked in a company, a large company, and this company, there were no competitors at all. And you can imagine what kind of culture that brings with it. There were no competitors, but suddenly that changed. There came competitors, there came new players in the field, and our board of directors thought, well, we need to change rapidly. So what they decided is that every employee in our organization needs to get a workshop on high performance organizations. So everybody needed to know, how do you do that, a high performance organization? And we all get the workshop, and when we were done, the board of directors came again, and they said, well, guys, now you know how to do it, please just do it now. Well, I think you can imagine that it didn't work out very well. And we believe that is caused by the fact that transformation cannot be forced by doing such things. In this specific case, the people, the employees, knew how to change, knew what to do, but they didn't feel like it. They didn't know exactly why. The feeling wasn't right.
Yes, and so the transformation, the word of transformation, that was for us the trigger to talk here with you. But let's zoom into that term transformation. It is a term that is used in various contexts. For example, in the theaters. In theaters, the definition of transformation is an apparently miraculous change in the appearance of a stage set. But also you see the word transformation in, for example, in genetics. And in genetics, the definition of transformation is the act of changing in form, in shape, or in appearance. So a transformation, it's definitely not just a change, and it's definitely not just an adjustment to something, things to each other. No, you can compare it with the metaphor, the metaphor of a butterfly. So a butterfly doesn't start as a butterfly, but it starts with a caterpillar. And from that caterpillar, it changed radically into a cocoon. And when you open that cocoon, there isn't any caterpillar anymore. But there is also not a butterfly. It's messy, it's chaos. And from that cocoon, it transformed to a butterfly. So with that picture of that caterpillar cocoon butterfly, you have the picture of what's it all about in transformation.
Yeah, and transformation is happening. You already talked about it the whole day. And it's good to realize what new customer behavior is. It's good to realize that we are not talking about just data, but that it's human we are talking about, those customers. And what we like to say is that it shouldn't affect only customer-facing departments. Transformation should affect the entire organization, every part of it. Where we, in former organization, used to be focusing on looking forward and on the outer image, it's now time to look on the inner image and to your corporate culture. And while capital and technology, organization, your products and your services are very important, your corporate culture determines whether you're successful or not.
Yeah, that corporate culture, that's the main thing. So when you compare the traditional corporate culture to the new system, the new culture, there are some things like this. I like to speak and think in pictures. So in the traditional way, you can see it as ice cubes. There are ice cubes. They are separate. They're not in real connection with each other. There are borders. There are guidelines. But in the new setting, in the new culture, you can see it as more like water. It's more liquid. It's more fluid. It's one total culture, one total organization. It's flexible like water. Also, you can compare with high tech versus high touch. Also, that's a nice metaphor to make the difference between the traditional and the more new culture. In the traditional culture, everything must be under control, and everything is led by facts. It's more rational. I think that's how it works. So when a new culture, a new company is successful in this new ecosystem, so as we call it after the transformation, you have to think like things that information is openly shared for everyone.
And you see things that people who are making mistakes, that will be seen as a positive part of learning.
And innovation is a part of the culture of the company.
And people speak honestly on topics. Let's call a spade a spade.
Yeah, no, there are no meetings after the general meeting. It's more pure.
Yeah, and someone else's success is appreciated wholehearted.
Yeah, people are real.
Then you see transparency all over the place.
Yeah, the energy is all over in the business and positively affecting to everyone's creativity.
People feel highly committed and responsible to their own organization.
So how you make that shift? Well, you have to for this shift you have to change your focus, and that focus shift will be there with a sort of chaos, but you need that.
Yeah, the focus shift Ed is talking about, we mean you have to change your focus from a controlling and a predicting way to a way more creative way. Yeah, well, let's talk about that. And when I say talk, I don't mean talk like talk, but we mean TOC, the T from thinking, the O from organizing, and the C from communicating. They all need to be slightly different. And let's start with think different. The opposite of creative thinking is linear thinking. And you see that a lot in organizations. Linear thinking you can recognize as in organizations where there are loads of key performance indicators, KPIs. I will not say that KPIs are bad. It's good to evaluate your business with KPIs to see if you're successful or not. But often you see in organizations that they are too narrow, and too narrow guidelines makes that people, your employees, just play within those guidelines and they just be busy with what's worked before. Too tight guidelines, too tight KPIs doesn't allow people to get really expressive and to come out of the square. Well, to come out of the square, there are several techniques, and we studied a lot of techniques, and we practiced a lot of techniques, and we came to the conclusion that you can divide or separate them into two parts. And we call them the Columbus method, and we call them the Barbas method. Those parts you can divide them in. And
So
Ed, you can tell something about Columbus.
yes, we call it the Columbus method. We all know Christopher Columbus. He was crossing the Atlantic, and he discovered a whole new world. But what makes him so different from other people in those days? That he used a totally different paradigm, and paradigm shifts brings you to other worlds, other ideas, other imaginations. And that's also what you see in, for example, the tool of mind mapping. By mind mapping, you cross borders you already you were common to. So in a mind map, you start from from existing knowledge, and from there, you use your imagination and associations to get new ideas, to come on new things. And also interesting is the term serendipity. You will meet things that are by coincidence there, and they can help you to come on other big ideas.
Just like Columbus.
Yeah, just like, yeah, of course, yes. So I think that mind mapping is a very good example of an idea-generating process. You start with what you know, and from there you find different ways, and you get many more ideas.
Yeah. Where Columbus is starting with what you already know, the other methods we call the Barbas method is that you start with the unknown. And Professor Barbas, maybe you know them all from the Belgian comic book series Suske and Wiske. In the UK they called it Willy and Wanda, I think. Professor Barbas has a lot of creations, and those creations are more famous than Professor Barbas himself. For example, his teletime machine. His teletime machine enables Professor Barbas to go to send people to another place. And just imagine that you have one button, you push on it, and that you're in a complete different context, a place where you've never been before. You get inspired, and it's so strong that everything you see, that you got a complete different vision and complete different mindset. And with that different mindset, you go home, inspired with all new insights. That's what Professor Barbas does. You can do the same, you can create the same effect just within your brain with several techniques. For example, a quite easy one, you can try it at home tonight, the random word method. If you got a challenge, and you want a solution out of the square, just pick a dictionary, pick a word, as long as the word is way from a different context than your challenge is. Start associating it with that word, and you get a whole list. And when you're done, you feel when you're done that you've got enough. You say, you pick every word and your every association, and you try to connect that association with your challenge. And there's a big chance that you get new insights because you force your mind to approach the challenge from a complete other point of view. So Professor Barbas is about start thinking from what you don't know. Get inspired from a complete different place.
You know, there's both methods, Columbus and Barbas, they have two important aspects. That's imagination and association. And when we talk about our brain, our mind, our brain loves pictures and loves associations. When you work with imaginations and associations, you walk other paths than you do by reading, by listening, and by writing. Imagination and associations stimulate your fantasy, and your brain loves to create, so why don't you use your brain on a natural way? It's a sort of power we forget to use. As a child, we are full of imaginations, we are full of pictures, we like to explore things. But when we get older, and also in our businesses and in our companies, we lose that child. But that childish way has an enormous power, and we believe that that power is in creativity. So use that power, use that way of thinking, and use that stuff, that is good and natural for your brain.
Yeah. We started by saying let's talk about it, and we just arrived at we just finished with the T of thinking. There are two more to go: the O and the C, organizing and communicating. Let's address organizing. What you see in strong hierarchical cultures is that there still are there's still a lot of companies who have that, and that are, let's say it, creativity killers. More and more we need to go to a more natural way of developing and organizing, and in a way where humans are more important than the organization itself, based on profession, on connection, and on trust. And about connection, we all know Nokia, and we all know what happened with Nokia. But they did one thing right, and that was their slogan, connecting people. And that's what it's all about, connecting people. Managers in organizations no longer should be bosses. They need to be more facilitators. They don't be the sage on the stage, but be the guide on the side. What managers should do is use the talents who are already available in organizations. And very often talents are not seen in big organizations because much organizations think in profiles, in jobs, and not where people are good at. So good job for the managers. And talents, you can have several IT tools on it, but we think it's more important to ask people what they like to do.
Now, for example, there is a project manager on sales, but in his private time he has a talent for video editing and he likes that. But we say, use that talent, use the skills of this man in the company. The top has to give to create space for these talents. And when there is space, flow will exist. And then people will get involved into their job, into the company, and there will be ownership. They feel more one of them all. So these are the secrets of a social collaboration. So not be straight, but be more a flexible organization, a sort of agile way of working.
That was organization. Last but not least, communicate slightly different. And I think you marketing people know everything about communication. So you're very good at it. It's your core business. So we think you should take over all the organizations. And it's a little bit of a joke, but there's some truth behind it. Because I think that when you found the right way to communicate with your customer, and if you find the right way to increase the loyalty of your customers, then it should also work within your organization to inspire your people, and use the same techniques as you use to your customers. Tell your people, tell your business goals with stories. Start storytelling. Let people in your organization feel why they need to approach those goals. And use your imagination. Use yours. Use the others' imagination. Start using visuals with people, and not just those boring Excel sheets with KPIs, because those don't motivate your customers as well. So why should employees be motivated by KPIs and Excel sheets? So trigger employees like you trigger your customers through marketing and sales, on a natural way, out of trust and principle-based. That's what we think how real transformation can happen.
Yeah.
The main thing is create space for creativity. It's all about creativity, so start thinking different, start organizing different, and start communicating different. Thank you.
Thank you.
Well done, guys. Congratulations. And if you just joined us, Ed and Hans are joining me in the studio right now. So if you have any questions, step in, guys.
Yeah.
This is your new spot. If you guys have any questions for them, tweet them out, #ConnectLive, because we'll be talking for at least 10 minutes with you guys. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I was listening to you guys, and basically what you propose is, in order to spark creativity in your organization, you need to flip the whole thing upside down. First question is, you guys have an agency doing this. Who is the owner of this transformation process? I mean, can this be anywhere else than at the CEO's desk?
Well, what you see in organizations is that you need to have it from bottom up, but creativity will not flow if it doesn't start from the top. You need to see the good examples. You need to create the space for creativity. For example, and it's years old, but within Google, it was not for nothing that they started giving people 20% of their time to start with things other than their jobs. So I will not say that you need to do that, but the people have to feel the space for creativity. So you have to give examples from the top.
Okay.
Yes, and when you ask this, I was thinking about the start with why, the golden circle of Simon Sinek, and that's what I also told. And when I work with people in education, I saw a lot of times that, for example, an organization in education bought 1,000, not 1,000, but tens of digital boards or tablets. It was all they thought
technology
that
driven.
all yes,
Yeah.
and also product driven. So when we buy this stuff for our schools, then we are totally new. Then we're ready for this now.
On
okay,
the
yes.
agenda. Yeah.
But what I saw is that there was a digital board. There was a board in front of a classroom, and the digital board was next to it or at the back of the classroom. So they didn't understand why they do the things, why they bought that stuff or something like that. So you have to start with why, and then the people who make the decisions in that organization, you have to understand that story. So.
And is it also is the model that you just presented? Can I flip it around? I mean, you listed some critical success factors from communication and organization and how work is divided. Are you basically saying if you do not organize your organization in such a way, creativity is never going to flow? I mean, is it hopeless for the typical hierarchical organizations?
If you do not change and if you do not create the space, then I think it's hopeless. Yeah, people have to feel that they can play outside those guidelines. Yeah, everything's changing around us is changing. Our customers are changing. So yeah, if you stay stable, I don't think it will flow.
And if you will change step by step, well, that's not a transformation. That's what I thought. Then it's still a change or a little adjustment to, but you still with your both legs in your old world.
Yeah.
So
and you're saying that's not going to work.
No, it's not going to work. You have.
Because that's interesting. Because Ollie Wright just earlier proposed that you should actually make change gradual.
Yeah.
Because the radical change will create so much uncertainty and fear that maybe the whole thing will not fly altogether.
Yes, but we believe that you need chaos to get to that real transformation. You get chaos, and you have to know that you have not all the decisions. What's going to happen when we do this, or what's going to happen when we do
Can you
that?
share a story of an organization that's working with you guys? And I mean, do you get carte blanche for chaos? I mean, how are the risks somehow limited? I mean, I agree with you. There should be some chaos to create some new stuff, but you don't want to jeopardize your entire organization, right?
No, that's right. But I got a little example of an organization that wanted to do that, and people came in and started on an individual level talking with everybody and about old values, about their behavior, and it was creating real chaos. It was very confrontating because you get feedback a lot, but directly, openly, it was very hard. People felt off and went home. But after that, there was trust and connection with each other. So you have to do something with your old values and those old how do you call beaten patterns. And yes, and it's not always a happy flow to get there. But that's an extreme case. But sometimes
you need
necessary.
to go through that pain, you say.
Yeah.
And say
but
I'm watching.
That's forced, but mostly I think it will be created by customer environments who are changing subtly.
Yeah, like the story you started with, right? All of a sudden you're in a massive competition. You need it.
But it's a chance.
Yeah. And say I'm watching this and I'm triggered by you guys, and I was like, are there smaller steps that I can do massive transformation? So could I contain it to my own department, to my own colleagues, or what would that look like?
Sure.
I'm just thinking, right? If I'm watching this and I'm sitting in this major organization, okay, one thing could be call you guys and throw the whole thing upside down. But what if I don't have that?
Force doesn't work.
Exactly. So take us along that path.
Well, it's all about making your own mind shift. You have to understand. So that's what we say. We like to get people understand what we're talking about. So we're very into the why of signing. So you have to understand what it's all about, and that is where your mind shift will start. And some people are more further in that, and some they will pick up the others.
And you can start with step by step from away from traditional way of changing your organization, for example. Agile techniques were before on software development, but now are common sense on change projects. So that are projects where you start iterative, I don't know the real English word, iterative processes. You start developing it, short deliverables, and when something changes in the field, you can adapt. You can adapt. Yeah.
Okay. Now, finally, I mean, this sounds somewhat hopeful, so perhaps you could take smaller chunks at a time. Can you share one of your most beautiful results that you have achieved after applying this to a certain organization?
I think from education.
Yes, well, my first thing is about education.
Yeah, please share.
Well, there was a school who made that change loud and clear, and well, there are in that region there are less children. So from that period, the children come. And also children from other districts and other regions come to that school.
Okay.
So not from that particular part.
And what were some of the changes that we saw in the school? Why did all the kids from all the different districts come to that school?
It's well, traditional way of education is more focused on facts, on knowledge, So when in the modern education we talk about the 21st century skills, it's more about skills. So when that's a big mind shift for people in education to focus on skills instead of bringing the knowledge. So I think that's the big deal, the big part of it. It's setting your goals with your children. Let them show what goal we're working on it and what are your steps into that goal. And we're also we still talking about skills, not facts,
Exactly.
not knowledge, and to talk about them in a state of growth mindset. So you aren't here yet.
Exactly. And sketch the pathway of
Yeah,
how you get
yeah,
there.
yeah.
All right. Well, with that, the clock strikes 5. It's the end of the 9 to 5 day. We made it.
Yeah.
Thank you very much for your contribution.
Thank you very much.
And if you just joined us, I mean, the recordings of all the talks that we did earlier today will be available on this website, ibmconnectlive.eu. Please share with your colleagues and friends and other professionals, WhatsApp groups we heard, Facebook, LinkedIn, whatever you have, and make sure that the message that was shared here today gets out there, right? We need both art and science to actually get into this transformation. Thank you very much for watching. Keep an eye on the IBM Connect events, both physically and online, and we hope to see you next time.